You may be wondering why those around you pressure you, why your words lose their significance. Listen carefully. The desire to be pleasant has made you invisible. You have been deceived into believing that kindness attracts respect. Look around you, at work, at home, in society. The refusal to set boundaries has made you a victim. But today, I will reveal what has been hidden from you since birth. The rule of Machiavelli, for dominance without violence. Principles that are forbidden in personal growth books because they are effective. If you want to stop being a shadow, write to me, I am ready. This is not a choice, but a matter of survival. Imagine Florence in the year 1502. Civil wars, betrayals, blood in the streets. In this chaos, one man observes. Niccolo Machiavelli, a disillusioned diplomat. He sees how smiling princes turn out to be traitors, while cruel rulers reign for 30 years. His book, The Prince, is a guide to political realism for those who do not want to be victims. He has been demonized for 500 years because he spoke the truth. Power does not come through prayers, but through calculated authority. Today, in a world of intrigue and rumors, the rules remain the same. Your life is a modern Medici court. Act accordingly. The first rule you must learn is to demonstrate calm strength. Power does not justify itself. It asserts itself. Those who dominate do not shout or explain themselves, nor do they chase after approval. They assert their presence quietly, as if it were a given. It is this apparent lack of effort that makes their authority indisputable. You may have thought that you need to speak loudly, to persuade others to respect you. But the more you explain, the more you lose. Because in a person's subconscious, those who justify themselves appear weak, while those who remain calm seem like winners. This is an ancient law, but it still holds true. True strength is silent. Machiavelli said that apparent strength is often better than actual strength. How you present yourself to the world determines how it will treat you. If you demonstrate inner stability and calmness, you become a mystery. And mysteries are not provoked. They are respected. Why do you think some do not raise their voices but manage to silence everyone? Because their very glance, even their silence, conveys, I am not afraid. You cannot touch me. If you want to be respected without cruelty, begin to cultivate this calm strength. Do not fidget. Do not respond instantly. Do not chase after those who avoid you. Slow down, breathe, observe. The calmer you are in chaos, the more superior you seem. And then you become untouchable, because in a world where everyone is in a hurry, the one who remains still becomes the center. You do not need to shout. You do not even need to speak. It is enough that you are fully present, and your presence speaks for you. You do not need to fear people or circumstances. The second rule you must learn is to strike once, but do so with strength. Constant softness can undermine your authority. You have been taught to be patient, to believe that forgiveness makes your soul more noble. But in a world of power, tolerance is often perceived as a weakness that can be exploited. This is not about cruelty or malice. It is about the fact that someone who never sets boundaries becomes an easy target for those who have no conscience. Machiavelli said that it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. This fear is established when you know how to punish once, but with determination and clarity. If you endure insults without reacting, if you always forgive, it creates the impression that anything goes. And once this thought takes root, nothing will stop the madness. Respect erodes, and words lose their weight. Apologies become a habit, and your kindness becomes an opportunity. But strike once, just once. Do it when necessary, when there is a line you have drawn, and do it without anger, without hatred. Do it because it is needed. One calm but decisive response is worth 1,000 words. It leaves a mark in memory. It signals that you are not neutral territory. There are boundaries, and those who cross them must pay the price. It is this combination of softness and firmness that creates true respect, and this respect, unlike mere fear, does not crumble. It is established. You do not need to explain your actions. They must be indisputable, and most importantly, they should not be frequent. But when it happens, no one forgets. This is the power of the right strike. The third rule you must learn is to never say everything you think. Mystery is a weapon of dominance. You explain too much, clarify, thinking that transparency creates trust. But the more you reveal, the easier it is for others to reach you. The more you talk about your feelings, desires, fears, the more predictable you become. And predictability never impresses. Machiavelli would not advise you to lie. He would advise you to control, restrain, and measure what you reveal, because everything you show can become a weapon against you. Silence, ambiguity, and economy of words are forms of control. Those who say little make others interpret. Interpretation creates discomfort, and discomfort, caution, turns into respect before you. This is not arrogance. It is inner discipline. A conscious choice not to be exposed to just anyone, not to give your plan to those who may use it against you. The greatest strategies never show their cards. They operate in the fog, not out of weakness, but out of knowledge. Strength often lies in what remains unspoken, leaving room for doubt in a gaze that neither confirms nor denies. In this gray area, where others project their fears, fantasies, and limitations, if you want to be respected, do not put yourself on display. Control your language. Let silence work for you. What remains unspoken evokes more caution than what is loudly declared, for in silence, legends are born. The fourth rule to understand is to earn respect before seeking love. Attachment does not provide protection. Fear? Yes. Do you want to be loved? You believe that love offers protection, that if people value you, they will not harm you. But look around. Who betrays, who manipulates, who takes advantage? Those who claim to love you, for love without respect, becomes a weakness. Machiavelli understood this weakness well. He wrote that a ruler should strive to be feared rather than loved, because love depends on others, while fear depends on you. In seeking to be loved, you make compromises. You say yes when you mean no. You forgive when you should set boundaries. You accept when you should walk away. In trying to maintain peace, you sacrifice your authority. You think you are avoiding conflict, but in reality, you are nurturing contempt, because love, dear to those who demand nothing, gradually turns into indifference, then into disdain, and finally into oblivion. Respect, however, does not depend on mood. It is based on a steadfast perception that you will not tolerate disrespect. You know how to say stop, and you are not afraid of disapproval. This respect is not always pleasant, but it is enduring and sometimes gives rise to a deeper love, one that comes not from kindness, but from admiration. Do not strive to be liked more. Be direct, clear, and fair. If you must choose, always choose respect, because the one who loves you today may betray you tomorrow, but the one who respects you will fear even in silence, and this well-measured fear protects better than all beautiful words. The fifth rule to apply is to be a rarity, even among those you lead. Constant presence diminishes your image. Distance creates impact. The more visible you are, the more people become accustomed to you. The more accessible you are, the less your value is appreciated. What is rare intrigues, while what is everywhere becomes tiresome, and yet you think that to earn respect, you must be everywhere, always available, always ready to respond. You believe that constant presence strengthens your connection with others, but in reality, it is the opposite. Habitual presence kills mystery. Without mystery, there is neither admiration nor caution, nor long-lasting respect. Machiavelli knew this. He closely observed the rare and significant appearances of principles. Their rarity fueled interest, sparked numerous speculations, and their silence left space for interpretation. This uncertainty upheld their authority, not their daily speeches or quests for popularity, but their ability to appear at the right moment and disappear immediately after. If you want to be feared and respected, sometimes disappear. Allow others to speak without you. Let them wonder where you are, what you are planning, what you are thinking. Create emptiness so that your presence can regain weight when you appear. Even in relationships with those you love, respect is not nourished by constant presence. It is formed in the realization that you can leave at any moment, and your absence will be a loss, not a relief. The one who is always in sight becomes part of the surroundings. The one who knows how to disappear at the right time becomes an inner presence. Marking, structuring, and even from afar, continues to dictate their rules. This is not arrogance, but a discipline of power. Rarity is the essence of the sixth rule that you must accept. Conceal your intentions until the action becomes irreversible. A secret is your advantage. You share your plans too quickly, revealing hopes and future decisions to those who have nothing to lose by listening to you, all in the name of being outpaced. You think you are fostering loyalty, but often you share too soon. You give others the opportunity to stop you. Machiavelli would not have acted this way. He would have said to maintain silence until nothing can be changed. True power operates in the shadows, not for manipulation, but to preserve its momentum. Incipient projects are fragile, and the human mind, even with good intentions, can undermine them with doubts, envy, or simple misunderstanding. The more you leave your plan visible, the more you invite failure, because too early disclosure attracts resistance. In this world, it is not the brightest who wins, but the one who remains unnoticed. Strategic silence is not fear, but precision. You do not hide who you are. You protect what you are building. You wait until your action is complete and irreversible, and then you reveal it not as hope, but as victory, a surprise, an imposed reality. Learn to keep your fire under the ashes. Let others think you are immobile while you act. Say nothing until everything is ready, because when you act in silence, the impact is stronger, and those who ignored you awaken too late. The respect you inspire will be based not on promises, but on evidence. The seventh rule you must embody is to create the impression that you can lose everything without regret. True strength lies in emotional independence. There is nothing that frightens the world more than a person who is no longer afraid of loss. As long as you fear being rejected, replaced, betrayed, or forgotten, you allow others to control your feelings. They notice your insecurity and see that you are trying to please, and it is this fear that weakens your power. Although Machiavelli did not state this directly, his thoughts clearly implied it. The one who cannot be thrown off balance always commands respect, even in silence. You think that attachment strengthens connections, but more often than not, it creates imbalance. The more you value something, the easier it can be used against you. This is not a call to become cold or indifferent, but rather a pursuit of inner freedom. One must learn to love without attachment, to lead without dependence, and to act without the fear of failure. The one who can lose everything while remaining calm becomes a mystery, a secret strength that evokes anxiety. They cannot be pressured. They are not a slave to their emotions, and it is this calmness that commands the greatest respect. Respect comes not from perfection, but from resilience, from that quiet strength that says, I am ready to lose everything, but I will not break. This is the position of a true prince, even without a crown. You may not have a kingdom, but if your soul is stable, if your peace does not depend on anything, if your gaze remains steady in the storm, you are already above, and those around you can feel it. Do not strive to impress with what you have. Impress with what you are willing to lose without compromise. Because true authority, which nothing can destroy, begins when you are no longer afraid of falling. Now that you know these rules, it is time to confront the truths that make them possible. Because these laws operate not only outside of you, they require inner transformation, a firm decision, and clarity. As long as some illusions hold sway over your mind, you will not be able to apply them without betraying yourself. This is what you must confront. The first truth you must face is that you want to be loved, but you fear the loneliness of power. You say you want respect, but deep down, you fear what it means to be alone. Because true power isolates. It creates a distance, a height that not everyone can reach. You can be just, kind, and strive to do good for yourself. But if you truly accept your power, sooner or later, you will feel the coldness at the top. The coldness of one who must say no when everyone expects yes. The coldness of one who sees further than others and cannot always follow them in their frenzy. This is the loneliness you felt every time you stood up to set a boundary, every time you refused a compromise that went against your conscience. You hoped to be understood, but in return, you received only cold stares and silence, sometimes even betrayal. Then you decided it was too difficult and not worth the effort, and you returned to your place in the crowd. You began seeking disrespect instead of love, forgetting who you truly are. But here's the truth. It is impossible to earn deep respect if you are not willing to be alone. Not all the time, not always, but sometimes. Yes, because those who dare to impose their vision, to set boundaries, and to accept refusals, evoke anxiety, and temporarily find themselves in isolation. This is a trial, but it also purifies. It frees your power from the need for recognition, and it is then that your authority becomes genuine. The one who hopes to be loved does not rule. They plead. Those who embrace temporary solitude as a truth become oriented. If you want to be that oriented, remember that there are fewer people at the top than in the valley. Remember that you walk alone until your silence becomes a legend. The second thing you need to confront is that you crave peace, yet fear setting boundaries. You desire peace for everything to go smoothly, for relationships to be harmonious without shouting and confrontation. However, in your pursuit of peace at any cost, you begin to tolerate everything. You allow hurtful words to pass, ignore disrespectful gestures, remain silent when you should speak up, and deep down, this is not out of wisdom but out of fear. Fear of being disliked, fear of provoking conflict, fear that the other person will distance themselves if you set a boundary. You think that establishing a boundary will break everything apart, that saying no will cause you to lose the love of another. So time and again, You let events unfold until one day you realize that this is no longer peace, but submission, and this submission destroys you. It makes you lose your dignity, smile when you should be outraged, disappear when you should assert yourself. But what you do not want to see is that true peace never comes from running away. It comes from clarity, from the calm strength of someone who says, "Here is the boundary. You may come close, but if you cross it, I will leave." Such words do not breed war. They evoke respect, and sometimes this respect creates a peace far more lasting than all forced silences. Machiavelli understood this. Power is maintained not through constant violence, but through visible firmness. Those who set clear boundaries without aggression or unnecessary justifications exhibit caution, and this well-measured caution eases tension, levels things out, and structures relationships. You will never find the peace you seek if you refuse to be the guardian of your territory. For harmony is not the absence of conflict. Harmony is when everyone knows their place, and it is your place to define that. The third thing you must understand is that you think you are honest, but you reveal your weaknesses too soon. You believe that by showing your wounds, you become authentic. You are convinced that by sharing your doubts, failures, and scars, you create a connection. And sometimes, this is indeed the case, but only if you choose the right moment, the right person, and the right space. For if you reveal what is vulnerable in you too early, you give the other person power that they may not be ready to handle. You call this sincerity, but it is not always so. It can be a form of pleading, an unconscious call for comfort, love, and recognition. Those who catch this call may use it against you, not necessarily with malicious intent, but rather out of an instinct of immaturity driven by a desire for dominance. What you considered a revelation transforms into a breach, an unprotected vulnerability laid bare. Machiavelli did not advocate for being deceitful. He advised being strategic. Honesty is an art. It is not about revealing everything to everyone at all times, but about discerning what elevates and what unnecessarily exposes. In power dynamics, weakness displayed too openly does not evoke sympathy. It weakens. It does not create respect, but establishes imbalance. If you want to be whole, start by strengthening what you wish to show. Do not speak of your pain while it is still fresh. Do not open your heart to those who can only judge. Restrain yourself not out of fear, but out of respect for yourself. What you do not say today, you can express later with confidence, calmness, and strength. Then your words will cease to be a plea for love. They will become a lesson, a presence, a foundation. True honesty does not put itself on display. It waits for the moment when truth becomes structure, not vulnerability laid bare. Another truth you must accept is that you hate conflicts, yet you attract the evil of consumption. You do everything to avoid tension, changing the subject and apologizing even when you are not at fault. You disappear to avoid hurting anyone, smiling when you would rather frown. You call all this wisdom or maturity, but deep down, it is fear in disguise. Fear of conflict, fear of being misunderstood, rejected, judged. This fear costs you more than you are willing to admit. It makes you vulnerable, weakens you, turning you into easy prey for those who have no qualms about imposing their will. The paradox is cruel. The more you avoid confrontation, the more you attract those who feed on it. Dominant manipulators, cold souls, quickly find those who will never dare to stand up for themselves. They sense your concessions, test your boundaries, and see your avoidance of tension. understanding that they can push further. Until you become your own wall, unable to say no, unable to assert yourself, Machiavelli did not praise war. He praised clarity. He knew that true peace is not achieved by closing your eyes, but by opening them fully. You do not have to love conflicts, but you must be ready to go through them without hatred, without shouting, without chaos, but with dignity. Those who do not back down in the face of disagreements become landmarks, and even those who attack them respect them. Conflict is not poison. It is an indicator. It shows who is willing to stay even when it hurts. It shows who respects you enough to listen when you resist. Above all, it shows you that you exist, even when you are anxious. Stop running from the wave. Learn to stand tall when they come, for it is in calm resistance that authority is born. And this authority cannot be taken away from you, because it no longer depends on their approval, but on your loyalty to yourself. The fifth truth that you must internalize is that you strive to convince, while silence would make you stronger. You exhaust yourself with explanations, wanting others to understand your intentions, grasp your logic, and accept your truth. You argue, justify yourself, and stubbornly prove that you are right. But the more you speak, the less you inspire, because in the depths of human relationships, respect is instilled not by words, but by presence. It is the quiet energy of someone who knows and no longer needs to convince. Machiavelli understood that power is not negotiated in speeches. It is asserted through presence, balance, and calmness, and those who remain silent when everyone else is shouting become the center around which everything oscillates. You think your intellect will be evident if you explain everything, but sometimes the greater intelligence lies in saying, "You will understand later," and adding nothing more. Because in that silence, the other person is forced to think, to doubt, to ask questions. And that doubt is far greater than any speech can shake their vision. You do not need to convince those who do not want to see, nor do you need to justify yourself to those who have already judged you. Speak when your words carry weight, and remain silent when your truth exceeds the moment. Silence is not retreat. It is elevation, it says. I am not here to please you. I am here to remain true to what I know. And this positioning creates an almost sacred power. It instills caution, imposes respect, and disarms attacks, because one who has nothing to prove becomes formidable. They no longer play. They simply are. And before this, words fall, games stop, masks drop. So stop arguing, embody, and allow your silence to shake what your speech can no longer reach. Understanding is not enough. Reading is not enough. What you have heard so far will only come alive if you integrate it into your way of being. It is not about using external strategies. It is about repositioning yourself internally, transforming your position, rhythm, and presence. What comes next is not a method, but a mutation. If you accept it, you will never be perceived the same way again. The first act of internal transformation is mastering your body before mastering your voice. Before you say a word, you send a message. Your posture, breath, and gaze all speak for themselves. In a world where words overflow, the one who masters the art of the body commands respect without uttering a sound. Your voice will not be heard further than your physical presence allows. If you want to be heard, first make yourself noticeable, not for show or demonstration, but in calm confidence. Straighten your back, breathe deeper, and learn to maintain silence without discomfort. Slow down your movements, not for the sake of slowing down, but to give them significance. Let every action of yours be filled with weight. Let your gaze not dart about in search, but observe confidently without the need to charm. Listen, taking your time with responses. It is in this quality of presence that true authority is born. As someone wise once said, perception begins with the body. You do not need tricks. What matters is presence, which says, I am not afraid. I am not yet a role. I am here because I have something worth preserving, and I will preserve it. You crave respect. It begins within you, deep in your soul, in every breath and in the ground beneath your feet. This is the second act of inner transformation. Stop striving to please everyone. You were not created to be loved by all. You were not born to fit into boxes, to conform to codes or expectations. Yet you have learned to smooth the edges, to smile even when everything within you is burning, to say yes when your body screams no. You have traded your strength for the illusion of acceptance, and this illusion has drained you, for those who try to please everyone are respected by no one. The desire to please is a transfer of your power into the hands of those who may reject it. It is begging for recognition that you could create yourself. Niccolo Machiavelli would never have acted this way. He would tell you to stop adjusting your truth to suit others. It should not be convenient. It should be natural, stable, and unwavering. You should not provoke rejection, but neither should you fear encountering it. The next time you speak, consider whether you are expressing your thoughts or saying what others want to hear. If it is the latter, take a breath, hold back, and remain true to your truth, even if it creates a rift in relationships or closes doors. Every time you choose truth, you ascend a step in fidelity. Even those who ignore you will feel this silence. This is the third act of inner transformation. Make silence your most powerful weapon. You have learned to fill voids, to speak quickly out of fear of awkwardness. But it is the emptiness you truly fear that is sacred territory. It is in silence that words gain their true value. Those who speak without pause become exhausted, while those who remain silent at the right moment create tension that no one dares to break easily. Silence is not absence, it is mastery. It says, I do not need to convince, I am confident. It says, I do not avoid discomfort, I embrace it. Before this silence, even the loudest fall quiet. They observe and doubt because you give them nothing to manipulate. You exist, and that is enough. Practice this, sometimes allowing your statements to trail off and keeping your thoughts to yourself, breathing in the pause you feared, and watching how silence transforms the dynamic. You no longer need to raise your voice or defend yourself. The held emptiness becomes an invisible throne, and those who can hold it never beg for respect. They impose it without words. This is the fourth act of inner transformation. Set boundaries once, then remain firm. I do not repeat sermons if they are not respected. Do not explain why you say no. What creates authority is not logic, but consistency. You must stop setting your boundaries like a suggestion. This is not an invitation to dialogue. It is an anchor. Once they are established, they should not move. When you set a boundary, do so calmly, without anger or threats. State what is acceptable and what is not just once, and then stick to your position, even if the other person insists. It is in this holding that respect is born. It is not the intensity of your reaction, but your stability. Machiavelli would say, never let them think you can be forced to retreat, because if you do, every concession breaks the image, and you become a subject of bargaining, practicing self-assertion without harshness, but with firmness. Do not change your mind under pressure. Do not revise your boundaries out of fear of losing relationships, because in reality, by holding the boundary, you only lose the illusion of connection, which is not based on respect. The fifth act of inner transformation is to detach from what dilutes your authority. There are places, people, and habits that slowly extinguish you. You do not notice it, you smile and play your role, but inside you feel your energy dissipating. You adapt too much, hold back, diminish your fire to avoid disturbing anyone. And the longer you stay in these spaces, the more your natural authority dissolves. Authority is not a shout, it is a vibration. It feeds on silence, solitude, and invisible strictness. It needs space to breathe. If you spend your days conforming to what is easy and warm, do not be surprised that no one feels your presence. You have dispersed and dissolved into the mundane, and the mundane imposes nothing. Machiavelli would say, choose your territory. Do not stay where you have no weight. Do not cling to circles that respect you only in silence. Move away from what drains you, even if it is familiar, even if you have memories there. Deep down, authority requires sacrifices. You cannot inspire respect if you associate with those who undermine your strength. Take control of your purity. Be where your voice can resonate. Otherwise, be silent and leave. The sixth act of inner transformation is to act without warning. Speak after you have already done. Often you announce, explain what you are going to do, why, and how you hope it will be received. You prepare others for your move, trying to soften the blow and escape surprise, calming minds. But this approach destroys your authority, making you seek approval before every action. Machiavelli did not announce, he prepared, and when the moment came, he acted. This is where power lies, in action, without warning. Not in cruelty, but in precision. You take action, make a choice, create distance, and only then, in calmness, do you speak. This changes everything. You are no longer waiting for approval, you are in sovereignty, and another, caught off guard, finds themselves facing an already established reality. They can no longer negotiate. They must adapt. At this moment, your image changes. You are no longer the one who informs. You are the one who transforms. Respect comes from those who do, not from those who ask for permission. And consciousness learns to manage its inner transformation by letting go of what it is ready to release. You will never gain respect if you fear losing something. You may loudly declare yourself, set the rules, but if deep inside you are tormented by the fear of being abandoned, forgotten, or replaced, everything you do will be permeated by that fear. This fear is palpable. It weakens you and turns what should not be a bargaining chip into one. Machiavelli realized that true strength does not lie in what you have, but in what you are capable of letting go without destroying yourself. What you can lose without attachment becomes your support. You must train this detachment mentally and emotionally, practicing the readiness to accept that this connection may end if the price is your integrity. And this must be done without hatred, without threats, but with peace. It does not mean abandoning everything. It means that you are no longer a prisoner. You are not subject to the fear of loss. This simple shift in your consciousness changes your presence. You enter a room differently, speak differently, choose your battles, and those who observe you feel that you are not playing. You become an embodiment. You have stopped begging. You have become free, and even silent freedom inspires respect that no one can take from you. You no longer need to become someone else. You do not need to artificially harden or adopt someone else's behavior. The truth is that you already carry within you the strength you simply forgot to nurture, the strength you traded for the illusion of calm, for the love of others, for avoiding conflicts. But today you understand that this inner compromise has its price, and that price is your own voice, your own axis, your silent authority. What you have heard here is not a rule for mechanical following. It is a reminder, a wake-up call, angles of consciousness to bring you back to the center of your thoughts, to the center of your energy, to the center of your dignity. Because you cannot impose from the outside what you do not live within. This is where the real work begins. In the details, in the silence, in the gentle no that you utter, in the exits that you accept, in the gazes that you hold unwaveringly, in the decisions that you no longer justify. Being respected is not a strategy. It is an emanation. It is the coherence between what you think, say, and do. It is the calmness in your breath when you face difficulties, the silence you maintain when chaos surrounds you, the words you speak that are precise and unyielding, the position that speaks volumes without shouting. If you embark on this path, you will see that the world is changing, not because it has become fairer, but because you are no longer standing in the same place. You are no longer playing by the old rules. You are no longer one of those who ask. You are one of those who embodies. And this embodiment, even in humility, becomes a force that no one will dare to extinguish. So ask yourself this question. Are you ready to be respected, even if it means being less loved? Are you ready to choose your peace over approval? Are you ready to walk alone, even for a while, so that you never have to apologize for your existence again? If this video has stirred any emotions within you, leave a comment, even if it is just one sentence or a single word. Expressing this is already the first step toward agreement. If you want this message to continue spreading, breaking down masks and returning the voice to those who have lost it, then share it, subscribe, and come back. Here we speak not for seduction, but for awakening. You no longer need to fear anyone. Just remember who you truly are. When you no longer need to prove anything.